Okay, well, here I am on my phone because my computer is not working. So, hello, friends. It's Carla, your online doctor, with today's Live in 5. It is 5 after 5 because I'm having computer problems. Anyway, so hopefully you guys that Facebook isn't having a problem all around and it's just my computer because it's not logging on at all. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have heard about the use of convalescent plasma. Hey, Becky. Okay, good. So at least somebody's watching. That means Facebook is alive and working. All right, so I'm sure you guys have heard about convalescent plasma to treat COVID-19, where you take plasma from someone who has actually recovered from an infection with COVID-19 and created antibodies, and then you infuse their antibodies or their plasma into someone currently sick with COVID-19. Now, last week, the FDA approved an emergency use authorization for this therapeutic modality. So the FDA Commissioner, Dr. Hahn, this is the White House FDA Commissioner, Dr. Hahn, said that the plasma has been found to save lives of 35 out of every 100 that were treated. But the number was actually found to be incorrect. That's a bummer, right? You're on national television and you make a major faux pas. Now, it was a relative risk reduction. It wasn't an absolute, okay, risk reduction, which is a big difference when it comes to scientific studies. You can't say absolute unless it's absolute, all right? Now, about 15 randomized controlled trials out of 54 total studies involving convalescent plasma are underway currently in the United States. Now, the FDA's Emergency Use Authorization, or EUA, gave clinicians wide leeway to employ the use of convalescent plasma in hospitalized patients with COVID-19, making the randomized clinical trials a little bit difficult. Okay? The FDA stated well-controlled randomized trials remain necessary to determine if the plasma is efficacious and to determine the appropriate patient population it will benefit. But ethically, if someone is very ill and is enrolled in these trials where they could actually be receiving placebo instead of convalescent plasma, that may help them, is that ethically sound? Is that something that anybody would want to do and risk this person's life by giving them a placebo when you may actually be giving them a life-saving treatment? Now, a study at Montefiore Hospital is comparing convalescent plasma to saline. Okay, that's the placebo. The study started in late April and quickly enrolled 150 patients as the pandemic peaked in the New York City area. Now, the National Institute of Health has since given them funding to allow them to expand the study to NYU, Yale University, University of Miami, and the University of Texas in Houston. Now, they're hopeful people will continue to enroll in the trials. Doctors are saying that volunteers to join are necessary to determine if plasma works for prevention and treatment. Now, they are urging other physicians to talk with their patients about participating. Many of these studies currently have 50 or 60 patients out of what they hoped would be 500 or 600 that they wanted in each of these studies. That is a very low number. Now, the higher number, the more reliable and accurate the results, so it gives us that much better information, especially if something is working. We certainly want to have that added stamp of approval that, yeah, this worked in a significant percentage of people based on a population that was randomized, controlled, etc. Now, in addition to more plasma donors are needed. Okay, many patients are happy to survive a COVID-19 infection, and I understand that, but they don't want to become donors. They don't want to spend the time. I don't know if they don't want to, I mean, it's not like you're risking giving up your antibodies, but there is that fear because the media is talking about how we may not have lifelong immunity and that maybe your amount of antibodies will diminish over time. So do you really want to give up that valuable antibody in your body to donate to somebody else if you don't know if your body's going to make more? That's a good question. Now, running clinical trials of this type are difficult in normal times, but during a pandemic, clearly they become even more challenging. So there's a lot of questions that need to be asked and answered. Again, I'm glad the FDA has approved the emergency use authorization of convalescent plasma, although personally I think places were doing it anyway. But now that they've gotten that stamp of approval, these trials are going to be extremely difficult to continue and to give us sufficient information if they're truly efficacious, if people are not just getting better on their own or because they're also getting combination treatments. Remember, you don't just get convalescent plasma and everybody else, everything else stops. They're still giving you multiple medications along the way to do whatever they can to help you get better. So was it A, B, C, D, or the plasma, or was it just time that you improved? Without the trials, we will never know. So let's see where this goes. I will see if I can find more information over the coming weeks and get back to you guys. But in the meantime, I guess it is a plus of sorts for people who are currently needing the treatment. For the rest of us who may need it in the future, it would be nice to have that information. But again, we got to take this one day at a time. So on that note, I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I will see you again tomorrow for another Live in 5.